When Don Quixote sells acres of his land to accumulate a library on chivalry, most would consider him mad. That is a singular reading, as I interpret this as Don Quixote actively shaping the reality that he wants. He is intentionally participating in life in a way that many of us are too fearful to endeavor. An overwhelming majority would consider being part of the landed gentry permission to sign off and enjoy the fruits of prestige, passive income, and deference. But if Don Quixote desires to revive knight errantry, what good is a plot of land that will lock him into one place? If one wishes to explore the vast and exotic corners of Spain in search of justice and honor, matters of wheat and rent will only be a distraction. In fact, Don Quixote demonstrates how material assets create loss aversion and force people to preserve status quo. The privilege of their current situation discourages them from pursuing the potential of deeper fulfillment. To this, Cervantes provides a blunt reminder as he writes, "I was born naked, and I'm naked now. I neither win nor lose." Remembering that material wealth, status, and titles are fictional creations will elicit spiritual release from frivolous distraction. True wealth is in the richness of the mind and thoughts. Impermanence and detachment will imbue us with the courage to take risks and seek self-actualization. Thus, Don Quixote's choice to sally forward into the unknown exemplifies freedom from societal scripts and responsibility for one's existence. Often, the only obstacle standing in the way of intentionally participating in life is oneself. Unlike the peers around him, he relinquishes all of his possessions in exchange for lived moments. Instead of conforming to pre-existing rules established by society, Don Quixote inspires us to reject the exogenous conditions. That he is out of touch is debatable, because his actions are simply refusing to sacrifice individualism, romanticism, and dreams to fit into a world that already exists. He is merely adamant about shaping his own reality. This is manifest as many of us apply to higher education or lucrative jobs. Society teaches us to fit into existing prerequisites that would service what it needs. Few think about how to create the niche that would maximize their utility and happiness. Even less think about how to mold reality to serve themselves. Imagine the doors that will open if we redesigned our reality based on our desires instead of being weighed down by self-limiting beliefs and obsolete social constructs. When he interprets the Barber's Basin as a legendary helmet of Mambrino, Don Quixote is demonstrating the alchemy of active participation. He possesses a joie de vivre that allows him to reinterpret the mundane and stay inspired. Instead of seeing the world through jaded eyes, his imagination provides the lens of endless possibility. This year, with the immense encouragement and support of my nearest and dearest, I embarked on becoming a writer. Having worked in education and consulting for 11 years, my experience is merely through reading essays, reports, and research papers. I had previously never published anything, but the moment I began to tell people that I was an aspiring writer, the universe regarded me in that way. Words that lived within me were suddenly arranging themselves, begging to be told. There is an alignment that occurs when you bravely attempt to create the reality you wish to experience. Similar to Don Quixote's case, the characters he encountered also shifted to purvey the courtesy due to a knight errant. We are proof that audacity is rewarded. Moreover, it is necessary not to underestimate the power of alignment. A sense of purpose can make one so selective and intentional about time. It is true what Nietzsche writes. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. That is manifest when Don Quixote even performs a vigil of arms overnight with pleasure. But how do we find such alignment? By remaining open-minded and willing to accumulate experience. For the last 10 years, I had the habit, like many, to maximize interludes from work. I dabbled in wine, photography, arts, and travel, but I have to admit that it was a chaotic orchestra of entropy. My hours were allocated effectively, but it was not purposeful because activity does not mean progress. Sometimes, I must admit, I had no idea what I was doing or why. Now that I have found alignment, these skills picked up on my journey contribute to a bigger picture that is synergetic in a way I could have never planned. These experiences may not all make sense at the time, but keeping the mind and heart open will allow them to ripen with synchronicity. When they do, there will be the most gratifying feeling that you are exactly where you should be, doing exactly what you should do. Don Quixote also cautions of the dangers of a life unlived. After he consumes all of the literature of knight-errantry and chivalry, he embarks on his adventures without delay. Cervantes allowed Don Quixote to exist not merely in imagination, but also in time. Active participation in life is about savoring each moment and not deferring to the future. The joy he felt made any doubt or derision or delay evaporate. It is only when he is prohibited to engage in chivalry for 1 year that he embraces death because he no longer finds life worth participating in. To Don Quixote, the deferral of his dreams is a death sentence because it betrays his inner possibilities. Nominally, he is cured of his madness and realizes the folly of his ways. But in essence, he no longer wants to exist in this version of reality. When he says he feels death is coming, he wills it. Though he renounces Amadis de Gaula and the entire genre of knight-errantry, he is refusing to allow his ideal world to be arrested. Analogous to Stoics, he confronts death intrepidly and decides the terms of his demise. Don Quixote leaves this world where there are no more knight-errants for one where he can continue to search for spiritual freedom. At the end of the day, he should rejoice because he was able to experience turning his romanticism into reality. As Cervantes writes, "Not for centuries, O fortune, have you seen me at your feet. Make me contented once more. My great good fortune will be if my was would be an is. O fortune, this fury torment will ease. Do it now, I pray, not waiting for a will be." Perhaps Don Quixote's madness was chasing windmills thinking they were giants. Perhaps it was his refusal to accept a reality everyone else took blindly in stride. But the greatest madness is living a life authored by someone else. Suppressing the urge to self-realize will harden passion into bitterness and betray the potential of one's existence. There is no perfect moment. There is no consensus on being ready. Just start, live truly, and live now, without regrets.